Hello everybody and welcome back, and I've got another epic replay for all of you today, and this is from Fog Battleship North Carolina, who's really just Riley or iCarly for those of you who remember him. Anyways, he sent me a Yamato replay, and this is the highest damaging Yamato game on the North American server. I do have to apologize also if you guys do hear any sort of like sound in the background, little maybe knocking sound or wind or whatever. It's because there's currently a thunderstorm going on right now, so I do apologize if the microphone does pick up anything in the background. One other thing I guess I should put a disclaimer for is that while this is a really good battle and the damage numbers are absolutely incredible, well, Battleship North Carolina's mouse wheel is currently being run by a hamster, an overexcited hamster in a large hamster wheel. And yes, I promise there's only going to be one GIF in this entire video, I hope. And so, yeah, if you do see a lot of the scrolling in, scrolling out, and do forgive them. I brought it up. I said, don't do it so much. I can't use the replays. And this is him trying, so we'll see how he does. Anyways, Fog Battleship North Carolina, along with his division mate Wisconsin, is on the new Okinawa map, and they are heading north. And, well, I guess north is okay if you take a look at what north offers in terms of a lot of islands, a lot of potential places to sort of stop and use islands as cover. It's better than the B and C caps, which are very much open. In terms of team composition, it's pretty similar. There's a lot of battleships on either side, quite a large number of cruisers, although the team that North Carolina is on, Fog Battleship North Carolina, I'm just going to call them North Carolina, it's a little bit easier, has the extra destroyer, which on a map like this, with this many larger ships like cruisers and battleships, destroyers can play a very substantial role. Also, there's no carrier, so destroyers can be very good in terms of going for caps. The one early issue I see already is that both of the destroyers on North Carolina's team have gone into A when there's only a need for one to go to A, and then the other one could just cap B and C quickly instead of using battleships and cruisers to go cap the B and C caps. Still, with the there, yeah, low pen machine as always. The Yamato, Montana. The Montana was giving too much of a side shot, but still, Citadel, no problems, and 24,000 off. Enemy Tirpitz is completely stopped pretty much, so that's going to be a bit of, assuming RNG doesn't mess with you, that should be a pretty, oh, never mind, he's going for somebody else. Okay, pretty much the majority of the enemy team, if you're looking at them, they are at longer ranges, 21-ish kilometers, but they are pretty much all broadside. They are giving the easy broadside shots. And the one thing, especially when you're playing against enemy Yamatos, is you really cannot just give them free broadside shots. Yamatos will punish you for that. No, I mean, unless RNG favors you, in that case, then a broadside hit only netted 1,400 damage. It's kind of sad. Enemy team is really lumped up here. If you take a look at the distribution of the enemy ships, the large majority of them, a large chunk of them, have gone north. And I think at this particular time, and again, going into the positioning of the destroyers again, had the destroyers of North Carolina's team, I think, gone and taken B and C, and the battleships south on North Carolina's team that are there around B and C, they could have grouped up and then they could have pincered that very concentrated group up north. And that could have given North Carolina's team a huge advantage because enemy battleships would have only been able to really angle in one direction. That was a Tirpitz, I believe, that North Carolina fired on earlier, and Magic Citadel. Tirpitz is at least somewhat vulnerable at longer ranges. Close range, good luck with that, which, again, you know, the new German battleships that are coming soon, their armor profile could be very interesting. You know, rumor has it, for example, that people have tested, at least on the Chinese servers, that the Scharnhorst is a very difficult ship to Citadel. So that could also be a German thing where they're just very difficult to Citadel. Although experience with the Tirpitz does suggest that it is rather easy to just penetrate and do damage that way. But we'll see. Alright, so Enemy battleships continuing to offer pretty much free broadsides and getting punished heavily for that. That Yamato just took another citadel and about 26,000 damage. So already, North Carolina is sitting on 95,000 damage, which is quite good. Battleship, that Yamato, okay, there we go, is finally starting to angle. So target switch, and North Carolina is going after the Yamagi, which is pretty much sitting still. And again, long range, Yamato. Oh boy, look at this shot. Yeah, you don't want to give a Yamato that kind of broadside to shoot at. So that Amagi got punished with 2 citadels, and that's a metric ton of damage. So far, 5 citadel hits. Enemy team now, if you take a look on the map, is very lumped up north. There's only a few scattered ships south. So had North Carolina's team been able to actually focus all their efforts, well, not all their efforts, half their efforts on the B and C caps, they really could have made a very, very good pincer maneuver. Destroyer, though, yeah, the destroyer play on North Carolina's team wasn't very good. One of them went straight into Alpha and died for pretty much no purpose. Again, destroyer, remember, your main job, yes, you do have a role of hunting enemy destroyers, and yes, you have a role of trying to harass enemy ships, but you still have to remember, one of your major roles is capping, especially when there's no CVs. Capping is really important. That Izumo already took 3 citadels on the previous salvo. Still doesn't angle. Still offers broadside. So North Carolina goes, thank you very much. Here's another salvo. 2 additional citadels. And that Izumo pretty much got nuked in 2 salvos. Heroic Hipper charging in here. Why would you charge in here with a Hipper? I mean, there is a Yamato, a Montana, other battleships there, cruisers there. Why do you come in? Oh, I get it. I get it. There's a beautiful beach babe there, isn't there? That's why you turned into this area and then decided to get yourself completely stuck on an island. To which, of course, North Carolina goes, thank you very much. There is 2 additional citadels. See ya. High caliber Confederate accomplished. Okay, Hindenburg. Oh, cyclone warning. So there's a cyclone coming in soon. That will make the long range fights a little bit. No, it'll take away the long range fights. So force more brawling. But in the current situation, brawling might actually be a disadvantage for North Carolina's team, as they are doing pretty well at range. Already 229,000 damage. I need to find an enemy team like this, where everybody just offers free broadsides. Look at this. Hindenburg, free broadside, adios. There is another citadel. Another ship sunk, already 3 kills, so, and 13 citadel accomplished. That's nearly 250,000 damage. North Carolina's team right now, way in the lead. They've had cap advantage for quite a long time. They're 400 points ahead, so that's a pretty big advantage. As long as they keep doing what they're doing, this battle should be a pretty comfortable win. And things actually look like it's actually on, it's going to continue to go well. The destroyer on North Carolina's team is actually going back to contest A and taking it back again. And so if they're able to maintain 3 cap advantage and North Carolina's continuing to do what he does, this is not going to be a loss. No way, right? Like, I was looking at this battle and I'm like, there is no way this is going to happen. Look at this. Enemy team has no caps. They're up by now almost 500 points. Almost 500 points. And it'll be... Oh, actually, there we go. Never mind. They lost the ship. But still, the advantage was almost 500 points at one time. And this Amagi is definitely going down. On this salvo, if RNG cooperates, let's see. RNG occasionally can do silly things like... I mean, speaking of RNG, I've had some pretty brutal RNG in games as well. Like, the other day in Ranked as well, I had this brutal experience with RNG. Pretty much like what? Is it like inside 10-kilometer range, totally stationary enemy cruiser, offering me a broadside, only at like 4,000 HP. I fire salvo 2 over pencil into 2,000 damage. Oh, that made me rage so hard. Yeah, so that Amagi got off with like 200 HP, which is just like the worst feeling ever. Anyways, Cyclone has started to close in, even though somehow in the replay I'm not really seeing the Cyclone effect, but you can generally tell by how small the sort of the cone of detection is. on the minimap that the Cyclone is in effect, and they're not really seeing much. Enemy ship has gotten back onto the Alpha Cap and is contesting it, but take a look at that point difference though. 890 to 289, almost 600 points. I cannot see this battle not going in North Carolina's favor. Unless, of course, this team just end up being complete potatoes. Which does happen. It's World of Warships after all, and sometimes you could be doing everything right and, you know, stuff happens. It could. And, of course, that torpedo takes out a cruiser, and so points sort of swing over a little bit more. North Carolina does take 2 torpedoes, but Yamato eats torpedoes all day long, and with its good, very, very good torpedo damage reduction, it sometimes is able to minimize the amount of damage it takes. Okay, so Cyclone, and there is, there's enemy ships coming in, but totally and utterly invisible. Cannot see them at all. Because Cyclone effect. Okay, whoa, there's the Atago. And Atago giving broadside to Yamato. This is very smart. No, not at all. That's how you eat 27,000 damage and basically nearly get nuked on the first shot. That was not pleasant at all. Takes a couple more shots at Atago, and of course, with 4,000 HP left, is not going to last long at all. All of it is just one more shot from North Carolina's Yamato, and that's done it for that Atago. Come on, secondaries! Ooh, Yamato secondaries are always nice to look at. There we go, another salvo. Could have actually saved parts of that salvo, to be honest. Could have actually shot just maybe one shot and maybe saved the 2 remaining shots for this Baltimore instead. But then again, Baltimore, YOLO rushing Yamato. Look at those secondaries go. That is a lot of pounding going on with a lot of little guns. Look at that. Whew. And then this happens. I'm not actually sure what happened. I think the internet just went and just did something. Oh, there we go. Whoa, look at those, all those shells that just flew out there. But that was kill number 5. Secondaries did pretty much all the work there, I'm pretty sure, because the internet locked up or something. And the Baltimore gets killed by secondary. So close quarters expert also accomplished 307,000 damage already. And well, they've gone from having all the caps to losing all the caps and having a ship advantage to losing their ship advantage. This Cyclone did not go in North Carolina's favor at all. And that's one of the issues with Cyclones as well, is that sometimes when, like, if a team uses the Cyclone correctly and they're at, like, a disadvantage and the numerical supremacy isn't huge yet, one good Cyclone used effectively and could turn the tables, which is kind of the reason why I actually like it. Because it does allow for good players, if they're still alive, to utilize it to the best of their ability to swing the battle in their favor. Okay, so North Carolina's division mate is now contesting A in order to get at least 1 cap back, which is important because you can't just go around with no caps at all. Getting 1 cap back, and then hopefully, if North Carolina is able to do a good enough job, and look, Cyclone, enemy Montana popped up 7.08 kilometers away, and of course popped up as a broadside, so immediate citadel there, goodbye Montana. 6 kills, 321,292 damage. Yep, at least personally, North Carolina has done pretty good in this battle. Ooh, he's spotted. Looks wildly around, and there's the enemy Yamato appearing off of his broadside, and not enough time to turn angled. Eats 30,000 damage. The enemy Yamato buries at least a citadel number of hits. That was a lot of damage there, and the majority of the HP that North Carolina had kind of just disappeared. So North Carolina is going to go bow in, which is a smart thing to do. And I believe he is going to just try to kill him with guns. This is an interesting decision here. I mean, if it were me and I am at an HP disadvantage, right at this particular time, when I see the enemy Yamato with 40 plus thousand, I think I would have gone for the ram here. I personally, I think, would have gone for the ram, but North Carolina opts to go for guns. And look at those secondary hits. Look at that. Oh, that is totally... That is like the most awesome thing, just watching those hit counters go up. Another Citadel there with the rear gun, doing another 25,000 damage. Trying to get his ship turned around to bring his forward guns to bear. And I think he's just going to get beaten out a tiny little bit there by... Yeah, I think right there. Boom. Teeny tiny little bit. But 182 secondary hits as well. And of course, a decent number of fires. So of course, the fire damage continues to tick up. There we go, 382. Let's see how high this will go. 383. Oh, approaching 384. There we go. 385, and it's continuing to go. The fire damage is still taking its toll. You can tell that fire does actually do a good amount of damage. But there we go. The enemy Yamato has repaired it. So, 72 hits later, another 16 citadels on top of that. 6 ships sunk, and 386,000 damage later. North Carolina sinks, and that pretty much is the end. And then you take a look at that, and you go... Oh, you do everything right. You set the record for Yamato damage on the North American server, and your team still finds a magical way to lose the game. Yep. And now, if you see this defeat screen, now I want you to go right back to the beginning of the video, right at the beginning, and pay attention to chat. Because North Carolina says at the beginning of the game, it's like, I don't play random often, but when I do, I will lose. What a self-fulfilling prophecy there. But still, this was a very, very good game. Take a look at that. Like 731,000 credits on a tier 10 Yamato game. That's incredible. Take a look at the base experience here. 2,395 base experience. Pretty much almost on par with the ships on the winning team. 6 kills, pretty much, yeah, aside from 2 other ships on his own team, he's the only one that got kills, and of course way ahead of pretty much everybody else. And of course, even with all the deductions, still made nearly 500,000 credits. Okay, maybe a little bit short of that, but 70,000 short. Okay, 438,346 credits made in a tier 10 Yamato game. And that does it, folks, for this Epic Battles episode. And this is currently the highest damage score by Yamato on the North American server. Hope you enjoyed this game. And of course, have a good one. Take care, and I'll talk to all of you again soon.